All right, we are live. Hello, everybody who's joining us. Welcome to our Chapter 13 Mandalorian recap. And this was one of those episodes. I feel like nothing really big happened in this episode. It was kind of just filler between episodes.
Yeah,
nothing major in the Jedi.
I can't think of anything.
it was like a 1 out of 5 Mando helmets for me.
A 1 out of 5 Mando helmets. That's probably.
I can't do it, guys. It was amazing. It was everything we wanted and more.
It was. I feel like this is the episode that we've been waiting all season for, in a lot of ways. Like, and really, there's a lot of stuff that happened that we've been waiting the whole series for some of this information and for some of this stuff that came out. So we're going to dive into all of that. We didn't do a recap for last week's episode, and honestly, I think we're okay because last week's episode wasn't my favorite. The Siege. Anybody? Okay, Tracy's giving it a thumbs down.
I'm trying to remember what happened with it.
Last week was the Imperial base.
Yeah, they went to the base with Cara Dune.
Oh,
yeah.
That episode. Okay, yeah.
I think the only biggest part was the reveal of the what looked like Shadow Troopers.
Yeah,
the M
Shadow
count.
Troopers and snow clones.
Yeah,
Snow clones.
And I like Cara Dune. So I think it was great to see her again.
Oh, that little what do they call them? Like they're like it's like a little lava creature. That she rescued at the beginning that looks like a...
Oh, yeah, the little pet thing.
That was the cutest thing. Oh, my gosh. It's so cute.
And we also know that part of the reason that Moff Gideon, not Goff Midian, but Moff Gideon, part of the reason he's looking for the child, and we'll call him the child for a minute here, but part of the reason that he's looking for the child is because they're doing some kind of cloning and genetic stuff with the midichlorian count, which I'm glad we're bringing that back because we definitely need to talk more about midichlorians. But other than that, like the episode was fine. Carl Weathers directed it. I don't know that we need to see a whole lot more directed by Carl Weathers.
Nope.
But I mean, it was just fine. There was obviously the now infamous guy in jeans that was not cut out of the episode.
Oh, yeah.
Which is now gone.
Yeah, now if you go back and watch it, they've taken that out. But,
although, the internet lives forever, so he'll always be there.
Right. Yep. Somebody's going to come to a convention, multiple people, they're just going to wear jeans and a t-shirt and a watch on their left hand, and it's going to be like, oh, no, I'm from the Mandalorian. I'm the jeans guy.
I'm the Starbucks cup of the Mandalorian.
Yeah, exactly.
You need to give him an action figure.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh my God. Was anyone else absurdly bothered by how fast his ship was repaired?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It looks like it took 3 hours and that thing was brand new and he comes flying in and I'm like,
which is
hold a Marley grumpy face.
Well, which is funny because in the previous, I think it was just the previous episode when they were at that, I don't even remember this town, but with the squid people.
Calamari.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. And they, and they're like, yeah, we can't fix your ship. We'll do the best we can. And it's wouldn't that place be a little more outfitted to and equipped to help him rather than this random little town in the desert?
Yeah, Navarro apparently has way more supplies and are able to fix stuff better than, doesn't make a lot of sense.
Yeah, I don't know.
Soon as that little alien lady looked back, I was like, she bad guy.
Totally. Oh, totally.
But that's all it took.
Sus.
So sus. Red is sus. Emergency meeting.
It's true. She totally was sus, and rightfully so, because she was the one that planted the tracker. So, all right, but that's enough about the Siege. Let's talk about Chapter 13, The Jedi. So here, I think everybody kind of thought that Ahsoka was going to make her appearance in this episode. Dave Filoni was directing it. It's deep enough in the season that everybody's like, yeah, that's where it's going to happen.
He wrote it too.
Yeah. And so you knew that she was going to be in it. I was not expecting her to be in it right up front. and be in the, like, I kind of expected it to be like he was going to search for her, and like at the end she was going to show up, similar to what we saw with Boba Fett at the beginning of the season. I was really kind of surprised that she's right up front in the episode, and pleasantly surprised. I was really glad. Like, she looked amazing. I don't know, what were your thoughts, guys, on Ahsoka's live action premiere?
My jaw dropped. I was just like,
Yeah.
I was so excited because it's so strange seeing her as like an IRL person versus a cartoon. It made everything just like full circle and just like really special.
Yeah.
Well, and I feel like
Pax.
Oh yeah. Well, and I feel like, of course, like it was a really awesome episode and it was so great to like see her, but I wasn't really surprised because like people that will remain nameless because they're in this place right now made, you know, like, I love you guys. I'm not trying to like call you out or anything because that's really not what I'm doing, but because people were having so much hype about this episode, I knew exactly what was going to happen, if that makes sense. Everyone's like, it was great, and I'm like, okay, so Ahsoka's in it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, it's not like I texted Jason and said, well, you're finally getting your 5 Mando helmet episode or anything like that. Mainly because he hasn't given me his phone number, which is weird. Like, I don't know why he doesn't want me to call him or text him.
That's super weird. I mean,
I don't even have Marley's number. We just messenger.
Well, all right. But
it happens.
Yeah. But I think, everybody was really excited about Ahsoka. But the funny thing is, that wasn't even the big reveal of the episode. And we're going to get to a couple of other things that are revealed in the episode. But yeah, like everybody, I think that was spoiled pretty quickly, that she was going to be in it, and then she was in it, and everybody kind of. So if you were on the internet, that got spoiled. And I'm sorry.
They name dropped her a couple episodes ago, so it was obvious that she was going to show up.
Yeah, like we knew it was coming. But yeah, who was it that spoiled it for you, Marley? Was it me?
Yes.
Yes.
And Colin.
It was both of you. Well, okay, in your defense, a lot
I
of
didn't say anything. I just said, "Hey, here's a channel." That's all I did.
Well, in your guys'
At
defense,
9
a lot of
a.m. on
other
Friday.
people had explicitly spoiled it, whereas you guys were a little bit more subtle, but it was still like, oh, we learned his name this episode? I didn't know that.
Yeah. Hey, all I said in our Slack channel was this is a really big episode and we need to talk about it.
No, it was on Facebook.
And then I saw your Facebook
You posted
thing,
something
Jake.
on Facebook that was kind of a dead giveaway.
I thought your Facebook was
Sorry,
very
Jake.
innocuous.
Which Facebook post was it?
The one about your kids, where they were like,
Asking-
can we still call him Baby Yoda?
Yeah.
First of all, that was
And that could've
adorable.
been, no, you need to call him the child or the bounty. He's not Baby Yoda. All right, fine. It was fitting with the line, but it wasn't like I went on there and said, hey, we found out his name and this is what it is.
That is true.
Right.
I'll give you that.
So I want to share real quick about kind of going back to Ahsoka, though. I want to share something that I realized this morning, and it was just kind of, I thought it was kind of funny. So especially because like a couple episodes ago on here, where I was like, "Okay, you guys, explain to me what's so significant about Ahsoka," and even still at the time, I was like, "Okay, cool, you know, like she seems cool, she fights, she's really good with dual lightsabers, awesome." But then like this morning, I was talking to my sister, who's not a huge Star Wars nerd. She enjoys them, but she's not. Like, she knows less about it than I do. And she was like, "Oh, did you watch Mandalorian last night? It was a really good episode." And I was like, "Well, yeah, of course I watched it. And yeah, I really liked it. Ahsoka was really cool. And it was nice to finally see her." And she's like, "Wait, who?" And I'm like, "Ahsoka." And she's like, "Oh, yeah. Yeah, she was cool." And I'm like, "You know who that is, right?" And like, so I had to like explain, and I was like, "It's significant." And then all of a sudden I was like, "Oh my gosh, these guys, all of you guys, you had an impact on me and I didn't even realize it."
Oh my gosh!
Should we dive into Ahsoka Tano for a second and give a little backstory? I've got this special little image.
Yes!
Oh my
Oh, look at you.
I know.
Oh,
I know.
nice.
I'm a little
I
fancy
love
here.
that armor.
So Ahsoka Tano first came in Star Wars: The Clone Wars, and basically she was found by Plo Koon, and then became the apprentice of Anakin Skywalker. There's not enough to just like sum her up because her history is just so huge. I mean, even if you look on like Wikipedia, it's literally like probably 10 pages long. But she is one of the key people behind several series with the Clone Wars and then with Rebels, and eventually moves on and leaves the Jedi Order abruptly. Basically, she no longer sees herself as a Jedi because of the way that the Clone Wars went, and really just sees so much light and dark mixed in with everything that I think the best term to really go through her as is either I would say like a gray Jedi, which isn't necessarily canon, but it basically means you don't side with one way or the other of the Force. You lead your own path.
Well, and I think this kind of gets into a little bit of the, there's the Jedi Order, right, which is the organization of Jedis, and that's where you're formally trained and things like that. But there are plenty of Force-sensitive individuals out there who maybe were Jedi, part of the Jedi Order at some point, but are they still considered a Jedi? And in some ways, I mean, you've got Ahsoka is an example of that. You've got what was his name that trained Ezra in Star Wars Rebels?
Oh, dang it! I was just watching it last night.
Kanan Jarrus.
Yeah. And then you've got Ezra himself. I mean, there are those out there that are kind of Jedi outside of the Jedi Order, and whether you call them gray Jedi or whatever you want to call them, and I think Ahsoka is one of those. And we can see when you watch her storyline, even though she leaves the Jedi Order in Clone Wars, when she comes back in Rebels, she's still a good guy. She's still doing a lot of the Jedi stuff, just not formally part of the Jedi Order. And then we see it again here in The Mandalorian.
Yeah.
So she's a very complex character, and she's really a cool character.
She's been through a lot.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be the outlier here. I'm going to be the non-Clone Wars person. I have not watched Clone Wars.
You're not the only one, Tracy.
Yeah,
okay.
you're not alone. You're fine.
I think you've got a deeper dive than I do, Marley. But like,
it's only because of these guys in here.
Yeah, it's more than what I've had. I had to I knew it was coming, so I had to read up on her. I hated the prequels. I'm sorry. I just do not like them, especially episode 2. Episode 2 is awful. And to watch an animated series set in that time period when it came out, I was just like, I'm not that interested. And I got into Rebels. I liked Rebels quite a bit. So I knew of her. I knew a little bit about her. I had to read up on her. But it wasn't like Erica's reaction where my jaw just dropped.
Excitement.
But I did love the fact that she looked so good. Like, that makeup was so well done.
Oh yeah.
It didn't look like it was painted on. Like, it looked like she came off the animated screen.
Yeah. It was interesting too, like looking at the details in her, I don't exactly know what to call it, but like the headpiece with the like dents in it. Because at first I was like, okay, that looks really cheap. And then I went up to the TV and really looked at it, and I was like, no, that looks real. Like how it would actually look if she was real.
Yeah.
Like skin. Like it had that like texture. Oh yeah, you can totally see that.
It was fantastic. At first I was annoyed by it. I was like, this looks so cheap. And I was like, I just proved myself wrong.
Yeah. That's one thing that I think they've gotten and done really well so far on The Mandalorian, as they've brought some of these characters that we've only seen animated to life. Like Bo-Katan is another example of that from a couple of episodes back, where you've seen her animated, but then like she's instantly recognizable if you've seen her animated. And if you haven't, they give you enough of a backstory of who she is that you're okay. But like Ahsoka, like a lot of things could have gone wrong with her being in live action and not look very good. But I think she turned out great. I think they did an incredible job. And Rosario Dawson does a great job playing the part. It was definitely different to hear somebody else voice Ahsoka, but it was okay. It was fine.
Yeah, it took me a minute to set in and just be like, okay, I'm good with this.
Yeah.
It was the initial shock of like, okay.
Yeah.
I honestly think she sounds close enough to the character, though.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
So I like the fact that she's not necessarily teaming up with Mando right now. I mean, obviously she'll come into play in future episodes, but in kind of reading up before this episode, one of the things that I read on Wikipedia is Dave Filoni said when he was bringing her into Rebels, he didn't want it to become the Ahsoka Tano show, so he used her very sparingly. And I kind of get the feeling that that's what he's going to do here with Mandalorian. I don't think she's going to be a major character. She's going to be on the periphery. She's going to have some stuff going on. But I don't see her as being the main driving force of this story.
I can see her getting a spinoff.
Yeah, I almost wonder if that's
definitely
they're setting up just because of what happens at the end of this episode, and we'll get to that in a minute. What it sets up is a little bit outside the story of what we're doing with the Mandalorian, and so I'm hoping that we don't get too sidetracked with that. But I would love to see a spinoff where she kind of gets her own series where she's looking for the certain individuals. So
yeah,
I hope we see her again though in Mandalorian. I hope that wasn't just a one-time episode.
I think we will. I think we will
in the next season.
Yeah.
I think they'll somehow tie in there. I don't think so.
I don't know.
That's just my gut instinct, but I would be very happy if she did pop up. I just know that with like the story that they set up for her, I think those type of characters and background story would overshine the Mandalorian too much.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe we might get like what we got in the end of season 1, where we had a 2-part episode where we brought back all of these side characters like IG-11 and Cara Dune, and maybe we bring her back for something like that.
I thought that
big showdown with Moff Gideon.
Mm-hmm.
Along with Bo-Katan,
because she would go help Bo-Katan. So
yeah, for sure.
That would be great.
So
and there was an interview with the guy that plays Moff Gideon, and he did say that there's some very heavy lightsaber action coming. So it wouldn't surprise me if she shows up again in dealing with Moff Gideon, but I don't know.
Or Baby Yoda finds a lightsaber.
I was like, if Baby Yoda gets a lightsaber, I'm gone. This is gonna be. I'm gonna be over the moon.
So let's talk about Baby Yoda now, because I think that's so. Ahsoka being in this was one of the reveals, but that was revealed so quickly up front that what came later, I think, was a bigger deal. And of course, that we get a little bit of a backstory for Baby Yoda, and we get a name. We don't have to call him the child. We don't have to call him the asset or incorrectly call him Baby Yoda and have nerds get angry. We can now call him Grogu. Is his
Grogu?
Name. Yeah, Grogu.
Oh, no. I'm still gonna call him both things, honestly. Like, his name is Grogu, but like he's still Baby Yoda to me.
Yep.
And this is the argument that's going on in our house that I posted on Facebook that spoiled it for everybody. I'm sorry.
We're not mad.
I didn't post his name.
I wasn't mad at you. I was mostly mad about these people on Twitter who just blatantly were using hashtags and telling the whole thing. And I was like, guys, it's 10 a.m.
Yeah. Yeah. So Grogu,
who watches it that early? Jeez.
Who would watch it?
I don't know, Colin. Who would do that?
Who would watch something at 2:00 in the morning?
Who would do that and then post on Facebook afterwards?
So
I didn't post on Facebook. We're fine.
This is the argument that we've been having in our house with my kids, my 4-year-old in particular. Every time I call him Grogu, he's like, yeah, but I still call him Baby Yoda. But then like he'll come in and he'll be like, oh, is that your Grogu shirt, Dad? I'm like, wait, I thought you were going to call him Baby Yoda. Well, sometimes I call him Grogu. So we're all over the place at our house as far as what we're calling him.
I love how he has multiple names now.
Right? Yeah, I've heard Grogu a lot.
Yeah.
Zach called me last night and was like, "Can you believe his name's Grogu?" And I was like, "No, because it's not Grogu."
It's probably those people who don't watch shows with subtitles on. I always put on subtitles because I like to see their names too. Yeah. And so you actually see Grogu on there.
Yep. We always have subtitles on at our house too. And so I thought it was funny when people were like, "How do you even spell it? Is this how you spell it?" I'm like, "Do you guys not watch it with the captions? Am I weird because I do?" But apparently maybe I am. I don't know.
No,
we're weird.
Because I do it.
I always.
The highlight of the episode for me was not only Ahsoka, but when when Mando says Grogu's name, and he just looks at him and goes, "Huh?"
Yeah.
So cute. Oh my gosh.
Me?
The puppetry work has been phenomenal this season.
I agree.
It's mind blowing. I need to
doing a lot of different things. Yeah.
I need to find it, but my husband showed me a photo of them dressing Baby Yoda, and his body looked so weird.
Oh my gosh.
Let me find it. It'll take me a minute.
So Baby Yoda has nudie pics? Is that what we're saying?
Yeah. Zane is one of our big fans and follows us quite a bit, so he knows why I have captions on at my house. Yeah. With our 3 deaf kids at home, obviously we have the captions on quite a bit.
So what do you guys think of the name?
Don't just make them lip read.
There's been a lot of internet hate about Grogu, so I'm curious what you guys think. I was okay with it. I don't love it. I don't hate it.
It's a Star Wars sounding name, so I don't have a problem with the name.
I think some people had an issue with the name because it went against all of the other 2 Yoda creatures. I don't remember the second guy's name, but there was Yoda and then
Yaddle.
That's what it was.
Yaddle.
Yeah. And it went against the Y names, and I was like, okay, they just happen to have Y names. I don't think it was a thing.
I think that they had to do something that wasn't a Y name so that they could kind of break with that a little bit.
Why not just rhyme it like soda? Just name him
You want to name soda?
We're gonna name him Dr. Pepper
Yoda
next.
and soda. Oh my gosh.
So, I don't have a problem with the name. It's not. I saw somebody tweet he's a teacher who's a big Star Wars fan, and he tweeted out that, so what, in like 16 years he's going to have a bunch of Grogus in his class. I'm like, I don't know. I think it's a cute like pet name. I don't know that I would name a kid Grogu at this point.
Would you name a kid Yoda?
Well, that's what I responded to. I said, "How many Yodas have you ever had in your class?" Like 0, I would think.
Well, in the
if I went out and got a dog right now, Grogu would be on the top of my list for dog names. I don't know why, but it just
that would be a cute dog name.
Yeah.
So my question is,
although a better cat name actually.
Where do this unknown species actually come from, right? Like, because Yoda's isn't getting on with Yaddle, because it's forbidden. Unless
Jedi have been known to have some side stuff. I mean, even Obi-Wan had a girlfriend. Come on.
I mean, he had an emotional girlfriend.
So, yeah, that's true. So I don't know. We don't get to learn a lot about the species. I mean, Ahsoka talks about she knew one other from his species who, obviously it was Yoda. Or she says Yoda, I think, even by name. When she talks about it.
Yoda.
Grandmaster.
But so we don't get to learn a whole lot about his species, but we do get to learn a lot about him personally, where he came from. Like, apparently, as they were sitting there staring at each other, she learned a lot about Grogu here, about, he was found, he was raised at a Jedi temple, taught by a lot of Jedi masters, was saved from the Jedi temple, and then he's been hiding his powers away before Order 66 happened, and he's been hiding his powers away ever since, and things like that. So it was great to kind of get a little bit of backstory for Grogu and where he came from, and why he's hesitant to use his Force powers, except when it's to protect somebody.
Yeah.
Right.
And not just somebody.
Or to steal cookies.
Right. It's either to steal food or protect Mando.
There's no in between.
Yeah.
Self-preservation here.
And one of the things that we get in this too is we get a really strong confirmation that Grogu really looks up to the Mandalorian and is very attached to him. I mean, that's the whole reason Ahsoka won't take him on and train him, because he's too attached to the Mandalorian and sees him very much as a father figure. And they have a very father-son kind of relationship. I mean, she tries to get him to take the rock, and he's like, no, not happening. But Mando gets him to take the little metal ball because he knows that's what he likes. And it's kind of, we see that relationship develop even further here, and I'm okay with that.
But here's the thing: if he would have given him a rock, would he have taken it?
Probably
he tried. He tried the rock.
Yeah, he tried the rock first.
Yeah.
Well, and my husband even pointed out,
it's necessarily an attachment. I think it's he knows he likes this little ball.
Yeah, but she talks about the attachment that he has, and that's why she won't train him, because he's too attached to the Mandalorian, or as Zane is trying to call him now, the Dadalorian.
Well, and the thing that I'm really curious to see what's going to happen is like, okay, so if Ahsoka is not, she doesn't want to train him because of this attachment, yet she tells Mando, okay, well, you can go to this temple and do these things, and then another Jedi might come. But then what about that Jedi? So if a Jedi shows up, are they going to train him?
Well,
or is it going to be the same thing? And it's just like, well, I can't because he's so attached to you. So like, what? I guess just what is? I don't really understand what the purpose is.
I think there's two differences here because of Ahsoka's background. You know, she knows of a lot of the dangers of converting someone. But if it's the right individual, like Ezra Bridger from Star Wars Rebels, then that might be another thing. Because Ezra was trained when he was like 10 years old.
He was 13, I think.
Yeah. And or there could be like Luke, for example, is just looking for anybody that he can train at this point, because there are no Jedi, and he's trying to bring back the Jedi Order and all of that.
I don't know if they're going to go the Luke route, though.
I don't think so either. I think they're going to stay out of the
You'd have to recast. Like, Mark Hamill, after his accident, and he looks so different now than he did back when Return of the Jedi era.
He had
even with the de-aging. Because I've seen some people who were like, well, they could de-age him like they do in a lot of the movies. And I'm like,
not with his scars and stuff. That would not look good.
It just wouldn't look right.
I don't remember which episode it was, but I think it was either at the beginning or the end of one of the original trilogy, or I guess the original trilogy. He had like a bunch of stuff on his face, like he had been battle scarred, and they kind of moved that forward as like, oh, he's gotten all these scars from his fight with Palpatine and whatever, but it was really just to cover up the scars from his accident.
I think it was actually Empire Strikes Back. With the attack with the abominable snowman guy.
Yeah. Okay, that's what it was.
And that's kind of how
I just remember the scene of him in the chair covered in bandages.
Yeah. So, and I think you're right, Colin, in that her thing with the attachment is really because of Anakin. And when she talks about, I've seen what happens with a full-grown, fully trained Jedi that can't let go. And like, I felt like Captain America at that point, because I was like, I got that reference. I know who she's talking about, because it was Anakin turning to Darth Vader. So I think that's going to be, I think that's kind of her thing. So we'll see. I don't know who they're going to summon when they go to, what was it, Tygon, that they're going to, where the temple is going to be.
Tython, like that? Yeah.
Yeah, Tython.
I don't remember.
It was, I think it was Tython, because it was like Python with a T or something.
Yeah.
But we'll see what happens. I mean, if the actor who's playing Moff Gideon is saying, hey, there's going to be some heavy lightsaber action coming up, then either Ahsoka's coming back for the last episode, or we're going to get another Jedi, or we're going to get both of those things, and none of that really makes me sad.
Well,
I would love it if we found Ezra.
You could have him just using the Darksaber against the Mando armor.
Yep.
Or in the Beskar spear.
With that new Beskar spear.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I have an idea. Okay, so I was thinking about the spear, and I was like, I don't know how that fits into Mando's fighting style, but what if he went back and found the lady who created the armor, and they melted down the spear to make a new pod for Yoda, for baby Grogu.
So he gets his own Mandalorian armor, but it's a pod. Yeah,
I think that would be awesome.
Oh my gosh,
for baby Grogu. How dare I do that?
We'll see. I think that it'll be really interesting to see, because I'm wondering if the next episode they go to Tython, and that sets up, because I think we're going to see a 2-part episode at the end like we did last year.
Yeah.
So I think 15 and 16 are going to be a 2-part episode, and at the end of 15 we're going to be afraid that Grogu is going to die, honestly. And if they do that to me again and I have to wait a week to find out that he's okay, I'm going to be really pissed.
Right.
And I'm sorry. But they're going to do it because they have to. But
what if they do it for the next season?
Then I'm going to cry. It's going to be hard.
Live stream of King Jacob just bawling his eyes out.
Everyone will get rid of their Disney Plus subscriptions like that.
That is true. They will see a big loss.
All right.
Not,
And then
not
they'll all
just a few
sign back
people.
on when the new season starts.
Yeah.
We all have to see that he's okay.
He's like, I feel the need to do something.
So it'll be interesting to see if they go to Tython, how that sets up the last 2 episodes, or if that's something that is set up for season 3, and for whatever reason he gets sidetracked. And because I fully expected, because they had the tracking beacon on his ship, that at the end, like when he's like, oh yeah, Grogu's back on the ship, I'm like, oh crap, he's probably not. He's probably gone, and things about to get real because they followed him there and everything. And so when he wasn't, I was like, okay, the next episode we've got to have some tie-in with the tracking.
Yeah.
And does that lead us right into the final 2 episodes? I don't know.
So I want to get your guys' opinion, because I did not have a problem. I thought this was one of the best episodes they've done throughout the whole show, especially from a directing and cinematography standpoint. It was night and day to Carl Weathers' episode, and I hate to beat on him, because where's my Mandalorian episode, right? What have I directed? But anyway, I think the fear is, for me, that this could become formulaic. The show could become very formulaic in that it feels very much like a video game fetch quest. Like, Mando shows up on a planet, somebody says, I need your help. He promises to give them help. He helps them. They give him some information and sets him off on the next quest. And it's like, I like it. It's good, but I'm just afraid that that's going to keep happening. And that worries me a little bit.
I heard another comparison almost exactly like that, but it was like, it's like Mando keeps going to the DMV to try and renew his license or renew his something, but they have to send him to another location because this location doesn't do what he wants. So he has to go back there and then go back.
Yep.
And I was just like, that is so perfect. That's exactly what it feels like.
You need
it's like
to get a state ID. And in order to get the state ID, you've got to have a birth certificate. So you got to go.
Exactly. And we went through that all yesterday. So, because yesterday our car wasn't registered, so we had to go get it registered. The emissions failed, but we had to go get it temporary, and then we had to go back to get the emissions done, and then we had to go back to get the full thing. And I was like, I feel like the Mandalorian right now. Just all this back and forth.
Yeah,
that's really what a bounty hunter is, right?
Mm-hmm.
The bounty hunter, he goes where he's told.
Yep.
There's no sense, like, he has freedom to do what he wants, but within his culture, what he wants is to go and seek these big bounties and big missions, but he doesn't necessarily like carve his own path.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Yep.
Yeah, I agree, though. I think we do run the danger of all of the episodes are starting to feel similar. This episode stands out because of Ahsoka, because we get his name, because it's kind of setting up kind of the end game a little bit for the wrap up of the season. And I think that the next few episodes are going to be much more exciting, but we've got the episodes in between, like the Siege, like the Passenger, where they're kind of the monster of the week type episodes. And it's like, oh, okay, we're not really getting a whole lot closer. And that, I think, I'm starting to see complaints that it's starting to get boring or it's starting to feel very repetitive. Even from longtime Star Wars fans. Tracy, you and I were just recording before this, and we were talking with Val, who's a big Star Wars fan, and she's kind of saying she's a little bit bored with The Mandalorian this season. And
I've really liked this season. I didn't mind the little standalone episodes. I like the fact that we can explore these little nooks and crannies of this universe.
Yeah.
And there's different creatures like that spider thing. I know you hated it, Jake. I'm sorry to bring that up. But I thought it was really cool. I thought it was really unique.
Yeah.
But I've been fine with it this season. I've enjoyed it this season, but I'm just afraid they've got to freshen it up. Or it's going to get stale for me. It hasn't yet, but it could be.
I feel like this episode too had a much different cinematic feel to it too.
Definitely.
Yeah, it did.
You know, it was definitely kind of that Western meets like ancient samurai type civilization.
Totally got those vibes.
Speaking of that,
so cool.
Did you guys have a favorite shot?
Yes, actually. Mine was when, like, the first one that comes to my mind is when Ahsoka and Grogu are like sitting across from each other, and it kind of pans out and you just see like kind of like a tree branch, and then there's like the sunset, and then you kind of see Mando kind of walk by, and then it just kind of, and I had the thought, and I'm like, I want to take a screenshot of that.
I need that as an art piece on my wall.
I was like, that was beautiful.
I really loved when they came back and she was attacking the town, and she jumped up and she sliced the alarm bell thing in half, and it just kind of rolled off. I was like, that is something that you would see almost shot for shot in like the Clone Wars or Rebels, but it looked so amazing live action, and it was done so well. Dave Filoni, who his background is all animation, give him a camera and let him do all Star Wars all the time, and I think I'd be fine with that. Like, it was just great.
For me, I really loved when they were kind of fighting the guards in kind of like the back alley, and she pops up and opens both the lightsabers.
Yes.
I was like,
that was cool.
It got me all giddy and excited. I was like, this is gorgeous.
Yeah. There was a lot that was just really, really well done and just really beautiful in this episode.
And we got Lothcats.
Yeah,
I was so excited to see the Lothcats. because like I had started watching Rebels a bit ago, and the Lothcats popped up, and then they started popping up here, and I was like, oh, guys, that's a Lothcat, and they're like, what are you talking about? Like, do you not remember from Rebels episode like 2 when they popped in? And they're like, no, and I'm like, okay,
never mind.
And that's a big piece that lets me think that we're gonna see Ezra eventually.
Me too.
Well, because Lothcats were such a huge part of his storyline throughout the entire series, and you know they disappeared from Lothal, his home planet, for hundreds of thousands of years, and then when he came and started going through all this, they started appearing again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, that's what you're talking about. I just had to Google it. I was like, what are you guys talking about? I do remember seeing that creature.
Yeah.
I just sent it to you too, because I was like, oh, she probably doesn't know what they are. Let me send it to her.
Oh.
Yeah, and they were in season 1 briefly too, I think.
Yeah, they were.
Yeah.
Oh,
I think when he goes.
That's right.
They meet Cara Dune the first time, when they're in the cantina there, there's a Lothcat. So,
there's a screenshot here.
So I
Chapter 4.
I liked the fight between Ahsoka and the Magistrate.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't like the standoff between the Mandalorian and her like right hand man, because I felt that was great. It gone a little too long. I just felt like it was like, I wanted to just watch her fight. I wanted to watch the Magistrate and her fight, but instead it kept flashing back to them just kind of standing there staring at each other, and then it would go back to them fighting, and then it's them just kind of standing there. I felt like it was too long.
I don't think it was necessarily that, like, it. At first I got the vibes that, like, it was Mandalorian versus that right-hand man. But, like, then after a minute, I I was like, wait, no, he's kind of more standing guard. Because he's like, no, like, I'm standing in between you and, I can't remember the lady's name. The magistrate? Is that what her...
Yeah, she was the magistrate, but her name, what was it?
Morgan Elsbeth.
Yeah. You know, I saw it more as like a no. He's like, no, we're going to let them fight, and I'm just going to wait here and not, like, you're not getting past me and going to go help her. And then, of course, as soon as he, like, was just, you know, being sneaky and setting his gun down, and you just knew, you know, of course, Mando was still, like, on alert because he had, like, his hand right next to his side ready to, you know...
But I love Michael Biehn as an actor, so maybe it was that, Jake. Maybe I was so happy to see him on screen again. And I love the fact that they're like taking some of these old sci-fi, not old, I guess older, sci-fi staples and bringing them into this next generation of fans.
Yeah,
I'm bummed that he got shot, though. I was like, I wanted more Michael Biehn.
Well, but it had to end that way because you knew he was going to try to shoot Mando, and Mando was going to take him out.
Governor Wing, who is he? He looks so familiar.
I haven't actually looked it up yet.
Who is that?
The guy that becomes the governor at the end. He's the first or the second guy that talks to you there.
He looked super familiar.
I don't know where from though, but. His only credit is to the Mandalorian, so I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Wing Tao Chow.
Wing Ti Chow.
So we do need to talk though, because there was one more big reveal with Ahsoka battling the magistrate there at the end, and who she was really looking for. And I think, Colin, you're prepared to talk to us a little bit about who is Grand Admiral Thrawn.
Let's talk about Mr. Thrawn here. So his allegiance is to the Galactic Empire. He served under Emperor Palpatine. He is known as the most brightest, intelligent officer that has ever come through the Galactic Empire. Huge military strategist and tactical genius. So he first appeared in one of Timothy Zahn's novels, Heir of the Empire. He's the main protagonist within Star Wars Rebels.
I think it's antagonist.
Sorry.
Yes. Probably. Protagonist is good guy. Antagonist is bad guy, typically.
But from his point of view, he's the protagonist.
Yes, from his point of view, definitely. He's the main protagonist in the Thrawn trilogy.
But yeah, and then he just recently got his own trilogy of novels the last couple of years. I haven't read any of those, so I don't know if they're any good. But I'm gonna try to step around some spoilers because I know Erica hasn't seen all of Rebels yet.
Thanks.
But basically, Ezra and Thrawn were last seen together, disappeared. Now we're in kind of a limbo here where we don't know what happened, and the last we saw Ahsoka and Sabine were both on a search for those individuals. And to bring Ezra back. So again, this just kind of leads me into thinking that Ezra could potentially be coming back, and that's what brings Ahsoka back into the end of the series, I'm hoping.
Yeah.
I would love that.
It's definitely, I feel like there's definitely a lot of things that are pointing that way, and bringing Thrawn back into it, along with the things like Lothcat showing up, and along with Ahsoka saying, hey, look, take him to this place, and a Jedi might reach out to him, and things like that. It makes me wonder if that's in the stars that we're going to see Ezra come back, which is great. But it's a weird thing, because what we're really doing, and what's really kind of happened with the Star Wars universe, is you've got kind of the main storyline going on in the movies, like the Skywalker saga, and then outside of that, we've got all of this going on with Clone Wars, Rebels, and now the Mandalorian. That's all tying in together. That's almost its own separate storyline, that's being built. And there's the George Lucas Star Wars, and then there's the Dave Filoni Star Wars, and we're kind of getting two separate, distinct storylines that are getting built, and I kind of like that. But at the same time, like Ahsoka and Ezra doing all of this stuff, and it doesn't really tie in with anything in the movies. It's kind of an interesting thing, and it's an interesting balance on how you can do that. And make it make sense. I mean, the galaxy is a big place, so I guess you can have major storylines going on throughout the galaxy that don't necessarily tie into each other.
I gotta say, Dave Filoni had a tricky job trying to retcon everything. Like, okay, these guys aren't in A New Hope or Empire or Return of the Jedi, so I've got to get them off the board, basically. They can't be players on this game. And so he had to kind of weave in and out a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
He's brilliant.
It's a challenge.
I really feel like Star Wars is starting to get some of that Marvel storytelling, right? Where you're not just thinking about, here's A, I'm going to do Z, and we'll figure out where the rest goes. It's very, very distinct planning, and everything is connected. Integral. And
well, and it also helps that Jon Favreau pretty much started the entire Marvel cinematic everything.
So he's been a part of both things.
So he knows exactly what he's doing, and he's brilliant.
Yeah, he is, and I think with him and Filoni working together, I think The Mandalorian is on good footing. I think it's on a good track and will continue to do great things, I hope. But now we're getting to the end of the season. Like, there are 3 episodes left this season, and I think they're all going to be incredible episodes. Yeah. And I think this one sets the tone for that. I hope so. I know the last 2 are going to be incredible. If the next one is kind of this weird, like, sidetrack mission Monster of the Week type episode, I'm going to be a little bit disappointed. Like he goes to leave and now there's some random thing that like happens and he's like, okay, well now I've got to go do this weird thing, and that'll be a little disappointing, but we'll see what happens.
Do we know
it can't be that easy to find a Jedi temple too? Like most of them at this point are pretty well concealed or hidden.
Yeah.
And that's another thing that we see in Rebels, that
is this going to be
are very, very secure. You can't just enter them anymore.
Is this going to be the first time we see a Jedi temple in live action? I think so.
I think everything's been animated.
Yep.
Do we know who's directing the last 3 episodes already? Or do we just kind of know as it comes out?
I don't know. I'll look it up while you guys are talking.
Because I think depending on who the directors are, we kind of know the direction it's going to go for at least the next episode.
Yeah.
Which would be a good thing. But my husband actually pointed out we had to rewatch it twice. This one part where so he tries with the rock to Grogu, is like, here, take the rock, and then Bebe Yoda like takes his hand and kind of like goes towards his side and kind of like, hey, there's something in your pocket that I want. And I was like, no, that's not what that is. But I go back and look at it, and he kind of does gesture towards a pocket.
Oh.
And I was like, huh, he knows what he wants. Because it's very, very subtle.
He knows it's there. In there.
Yeah. So I thought that was cool. Huh. My husband's not a big Star Wars fan, but he loves this stuff.
We know 2 of the 3 directors for the final episodes, because they've already been announced and they haven't gone yet. The first is Rick Famuyiwa. I totally mispronounced his name. I apologize. He's the director who did the prison spaceship episode last year.
Oh,
crap.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh,
and
for
the first time in Star Wars land, we've got Robert Rodriguez, who is known for insane over-the-top action films.
That name sounds super familiar. So we know he's going to be directing.
He did
the fight.
El Mariachi. He did Sin City with the comic guy. I can't think of his name. Shark Boy and Lava Girl. He did on Netflix.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I remember that.
Frank Miller.
Made that for his kids.
Guy.
Oh my gosh.
He's known for being very inventive, very much an action-oriented director. So I'm excited for both of those guys.
My guess is he's directing the next one because this is according to Wikipedia, so please take it with a grain of salt. But as far as the writers go, the next one is Jon Favreau, and then chapter 15 is Rick Fuyama, the name you were saying, is the writer. So I'm guessing he's also directing the one that he wrote.
That makes sense.
And then Jon Favreau is the writer for the last one. So my guess is that Robert Rodriguez is directing the next one, and Jon Favreau is going to direct the season finale.
That would make sense.
But I don't know. Okay. But we know those are, I think, so we'll see. We'll see what happens.
That makes me a little bit more confident.
Yeah, because Favreau's only directed one episode of this entire show. And that was the first episode
the very
of season
first
2.
one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And you could tell it was him because there was his Iron Man little nod.
Yeah. So what I would like to see that's missing that we haven't seen is more Taika Waititi. We just need him more.
Gosh, yes.
Like just generally speaking. But hopefully we get him back for season 3. I don't care
how we get him, I just want him.
Yeah.
Taika, man, he can even direct a Coke commercial and make you
my gosh, that Coke commercial tears me up every time.
Oh my gosh.
Stupid Taika Waititi and your emotional storytelling.
He's going to be busy doing Thor, God of Love and Thunder for a while, though.
Right, and that's probably why he isn't directing anything this season, because they're working on that. And there's been talk about him actually doing a Star Wars film, which would be
I am 100% in, if that's the case.
Huh.
He's also working on an animated version of Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory.
Really?
Yeah. So he's busy with stuff.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Besides just the Mandalorian. But so it'll be interesting to see how the season wraps up and what we're going to see. I think it's a little interesting to see that the episode written by the director Rick.
Rodriguez?
We'll just call him Rick.
Yeah, good old Rick. Rick F.
Good old Rick.
To see that's kind of sandwiched in between, like it's the second to last episode. Maybe we're not going to see a 2-part episode for the end of the season. I don't know. We'll see. Yeah. But we should probably take a minute here and rate this episode, Chapter 13, The Jedi. What do you guys rate this out of 5 Mandalorian helmets? What
8.
do you give this?
100.
I was being realistic.
1,100,000. I like that.
Wow.
The maximum.
So the maximum would be 5, technically, or 100,000,000.
That one, yeah.
I give it 5 out of 5.
Yeah,
it's solid.
Sure.
I agree. I think this is the episode we've been waiting for. This is 5 out of 5. Dave Filoni is an incredible storyteller, especially when it comes to Star Wars. He just needs to keep. I'm glad he's involved in the series as heavily as he is, and I hope we see more of his stories and more of his directing, because this was really, really well done. So,
it's Jason's 5 out of 5. I had seen this.
We knew his criteria was that it had to have Ahsoka in it, and then it was a 5 out of 5, and it did. So there we are.
This thing on Twitter where, because there's the Lord of the Rings series being created right now.
Oh yeah.
And they were talking about like, who's our Dave Filoni that's keeping all of the lore in check, and everyone's like, we don't have one. And I was like, heaven bless Dave Filoni for all he's done. Seriously,
he's done a lot for the Star Wars fandom and the Star Wars property. Like
I'd love to meet him one day.
I mean, really, like George Lucas, obviously, as the creator of Star Wars, gets all the credit that he should for that.
Oh yeah.
And I would never take anything away from what he accomplished. As you know, this was so inventive and so creative. But like right below him has got to be Dave Filoni because of what he's done in the animated realm.
He's like the Lucas of this next generation.
Yeah. Absolutely.
100%.
So He's incredible, and Disney was very smart to bring him on for this series. That could have been a huge gamble. I mean, sure, Jon Favreau coming and saying, "Hey, I want to do this," and then being on board with it, and then saying, "Let's get Dave Filoni involved," was just so smart.
So smart.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. All right. Well, let us know, listeners, watchers, what you guys think. Viewers, I guess is what you call that, not watchers. Watchers sounds creepy. Let us know, viewers, what you think of this episode. Go ahead and leave some comments. What do you think of the name? What do you think of the dropping Grand Admiral Thrawn in there? What did you think of Ahsoka's appearance? We want to hear about it. Overall, I think this has been a very well-received episode, but you may disagree, and we don't mind hearing that either. Like, we don't care. We didn't make it. It's not ours, so we're fine. Our feelings won't be hurt. But yeah, this was great. We will have to get back together again next week and talk about Chapter 14 and see what developments come from that. It's all speeding up now. We're coming down to the end of it. Eight episodes is too short. We really need to do like 30 episodes each season. Yeah.
Yes.
So, but yes, thank you for watching. Check us out on Stolendroids.com. Make sure you like and subscribe. Like this video and subscribe to our channel on YouTube so you can get more live videos when we do go live. We appreciate you stopping by and watching, and we'll see you all later. May the Force be with you.
Oh, bye.
Bye.
Bye.